Hello everyone, this is LaToya. I am back again with a new video. This is going to be another book review for Sacred Contracts, and if this is anyone's first time watching a book review with the Sacred Contracts and you want to get up to speed, then you can definitely go back to my previous videos that I have for chapter 5 part 1 and 2, where I give you more insight of what I've been reading, why I've been reading it, and why I started at chapter 5. So I have more information on that, and I also have the links in the description box also. So I hope everyone is doing well today, or this evening. Actually, it's evening now. I've been a little bit behind as far as posting. My internet has been acting super slow, so it was really difficult for me to upload my video that I just recently posted. That's more of a health video in relation to food. So now I'm doing my Sacred Contract video, and here is Sacred Contracts. I love this book. I really love it. It provides me with so much clarity, and yeah. So I finished chapter 5, and now on to chapter 6, which is the chakras, or the chakras. I normally say chakras, but it's really the way that is pronounced is the chakras, and it's your spiritual backbone. That is the name of the chapter. And I have little notes, so bear with me, because there may be moments where I'm pausing and looking and reading what I wrote or what I marked down. So what are chakras? I would encourage people that are not familiar with it to do some research. Google it and do some research. There's a lot of information on it. Here, in regards to what the book has, it says that in Sanskrit, the language of the ancient Indian seers who first identified these energy centers, the word chakra means wheel or circle. The chakras are traditionally pictured as lotus blossoms with various numbers of petals, which inhabited by energy affiliated with sacred deity with a characteristic color, sacred syllable, and animal symbol attached to it. The ancient seers and yogis experienced the energy of the chakras as constantly spinning. And to me, it's like energy centers. And there's many of them. The one you'll tend to see that they focus on like 7, but there's many more. And actually, in this book, she talks about 8. So yeah, which is interesting, because I always see people mainly talk about 7, even though some people say that there are more, and I believe that there are more. It makes sense that it will be more than that, like hundreds of them, maybe even more than that. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know everything, but I do have an idea of what chakras are. And it's actually beneficial for me. The more that I'm learning about the chakras, the easier it is for me to understand what I need physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. It's very imperative for us to know about these type of things. And just to give you a little insight, even though I'll encourage many people who are watching this and may not be familiar with chakras, to research it. But just to give you some insight, each level or each center, we focus on 7, which is interesting because 7, when I think of 7, I think of a spiritual number. It's a very spiritual number. But the first chakra, it is the root chakra. I normally say chakra, so I'm focusing on saying it the way that it's really pronounced. So you have the root chakra, and when I think of the root chakra, I think of family, I think of tribe, I think of guardian, I think of stability, I think of finances, I think of instincts, I think of the base or the foundation. I think of where I learn a lot of my beliefs, my beliefs, the foundation of my beliefs when I think of the first chakra, which is the root. Then You have the second one, which is, and I'm not going through all of them, but just to give you an insight of it. The second one is the sacral. The sacral um, is linked to emotions, to your sensuality, sexuality, all things that are beautiful, partnerships, relationships. It's when, you have the first chakra where it's all about your family and your tribe and sticking with it and loyalty. And then the second one, you kind of, you're stepping outside of that, and building relationships with other people. And it also, to me, is related to finances and things like that too. There's more. I'm just giving you a gist. Then you have the third one, which is the solar plexus, and the solar plexus is right. Well, you can't really see, but it's right in the belly area. And oh yeah, and the sacral is like right or it's like it's like right below your belly button. That area, kind of, sort of, is where your sacral is. Don't quote me, but it's around that area. And then you have your belly is around your belly is your solar plexus, and with that, that's your power source. That's your self-esteem. That's your ability to make choices, your confidence, being sure of yourself. That is an area that I definitely have been working on. Like all of these areas, actually, to be real with you. Yeah. Below the neck, for sure. For me. And then you have a heart chakra. Heart chakra represents love, compassion, forgiveness, opening of the heart, all things that are, soft and gentle, and just being able to see the loving essence in myself and others. So with knowing, and then you have like the throat chakra. The throat chakra is, I'll just go ahead and just do a brief overview. Then you have the throat. The throat, that's dealing with your ability to, speak up for yourself, and you also your ability to speak your truth. What a mo that I mean, that's, to me, that's the biggest one, because that area right there for me is a biggie. There's blockage right there. Please, people, you can chime in and leave comments, because this is a learning experience for me. Even though I've had an idea of what chakras are, I'm not going to sit or act like I know everything. You know what I'm saying? I'm just sharing, what I'm learning so far. And then you have the third eye. It's funny because I remember when this started opening up, like back in 2009. I started to get all my brow area started to, I felt the tingling and all of that. That's when I started to feel things tingle in my body. And I remember looking it up on the internet, like, what is this? And then I found out that it was related to my third eye. And I was just like, wow. I was having vivid dreams. I have it documented in like a blog, that like all the dreams I was having and all these changes that I was going through that led me to where I am now. And yeah, it's your ability to have a vision and to imagine. But then again, the seventh chakra too, the crown, also is linked to that too. Well, I'll go into this when I feel like I'm getting too deep into it, when this chapter goes into each one thoroughly. So yeah. But the point I'm trying to make is that knowing about these chakras, it gives me clarity and understanding of areas in my life that I need to pay attention to, things that I need to add into my life so that I can be balanced. That's the key to knowing about these chakras, is to create a balance in your life, to create a balance in your body, mind, and spirit. And being able to know these about each of these levels and seeing how it correlates with your life and what's going on with your life, what's going on with how it correlates with my life and what is going on with my life, then I'm able to see what I need to work on to release blockages. For example, with me, there was a lot going on with me in my sacral, for example, on a physical level. Sometimes your body will tell you, your body will give you attention, wants attention. Your body needs some attention, and you'll get things going on with your body. And in my sacral area, there was things going on that I wasn't used to. And I know that the sacral has to do with, partnership, love, like partnership, relationships, emotions, all things that are beautiful, all things that are sensual, yeah. And what my body needed at the end of the day, it needed to be free, and it needed exercise. I needed to move my body to kind of release that, and that's one of the things I do support, when you move your body to release some of that energy in different ways. And that's exactly what I did. There's also chants that go along with all of the chakras that can support you in releasing things. But exercise was what helped a lot. I'm thankful for that. And just doing things that are appreciating myself, and doing things for myself that doing things for myself, being gentle to myself is very important, And yeah, I can go into detail about that. I feel like I'm going sidetracked, but yeah. So, with that being said, let's go to, I'm going to go read this. The system of energy centers known as the chakras defines and supports our spiritual life much the way the spinal. I'm going to go back. The system of energy centers known as the chakras defines and supports our spiritual life much the way the spinal column, along which they are traditionally located, supports our physical body. Like the stages of a contract, they too follow a progression that reflects our spiritual development from childhood through maturity. But in a more literal sense, chakras are also connected to the everyday functions of our body and minds. They regulate everything from our survival instincts, sex drive, self-esteem, to our emotions, intellect, will, and spiritual aspirations. A knowledge of how they function and how they help you to function is essential to a complete understanding of your sacred contract. And your sacred contract is just your purpose and your mission, your life path. And that's pretty much what I was kind of like just explaining about how beneficial it is for me to know what the chakras are, and how it relates to, and knowing what each one is and how it relates to my life and what I need and what blockages I have and what strengths I have. And so yes, it's a great thing to know about, for sure. And there's this little, I don't know if you can see that, but there's this little figure that talks about that. It says the first one is the family survival. The second is money, sex, and power. Yep. The third is self-esteem, and that's also a power source too. I feel it's definitely power. The third. Fourth is emotion, love, and forgiveness. I also feel like the second one is emotions too. The will, choice, self-expression. Yeah, when I was saying that it's about speaking up, like for me, that's a big one. Speaking up. I also feel like choice and will goes into chat. Like it's just interesting how these go, because even though they simplified this chart, I feel like some other ones can go within the other ones, and they're all connected, to be honest with you, in some shape or form. The 6 is the intellect and the wisdom, and that makes sense with the third chakra and intuition and things of that nature, and imagination. Yeah. And then the seventh one is the relationship to the divine. And then the eighth one is the archetypal dimension, which is very new to me. I only knew about this main seven, even though I knew there were more. So yeah. And I'm just looking at this real quick just to see if there's anything that stands out. Yeah, like I mentioned, that I'm not really familiar with anything above 7. It says here, while the 7 lower chakras are largely personal in nature, relaying information that reflects the physical, emotional, and psychological. While the 7 lower chakras are largely personal in nature, relaying information that reflects the physical, emotional, and psychological and spiritual details of our life, the 8th chakra is transpersonal, connecting to the infinite source of all archetypal energies. It also maintains a connection to every individual body and soul. And from what I read in this book thus far, and this is a lot, like this information is really deep, where I have to really read it. I'm one of those people that I can read things in a day. I'm a reader. However, when it comes to this type of information, I really believe that I have to take my time to really get into what the author is saying in that. And it's just real deep. This is so deep. It's almost as if, like, the 8th one is how I connect with, like, the divine love or divine consciousness. It's like that. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody, but let me go and read my notes and see what I have here. And I have notated here, which I probably found in the actual book, is that the chakras can be used to uncover your sacred contract. That's the obvious, of course. That is the obvious. I guess by jumping into the 8th chakra, that will support me in sharing with you how it's deep and how I got more clarity on it. So the 8th chakra, what Caroline discussed is how the lesson is to integrate the self. Integrate the self. The power is your symbolic sight. The strength is detachment, staying in the present moment, unconditional trust, ability to recognize illusions, acceptance of intuitive guidance, which is very interesting because I felt like I was reading this in divine timing, because I'm going through a lot of things and going through a lot of changes where this is very imperative and important for me to recognize this. And she discussed symbolic sight, but it's pretty much being able to recognize the deeper meaning in things and the lessons that I am learning in my life as I am experiencing. And that is just not a coincidence, that there is something underlying and deep that I am supposed to obtain from what I'm experiencing. That's pretty much what it is, what symbolic sight is. So, yeah. It's just recognizing the symbolic meaning behind things. And let's see, what else did I have highlighted here that would stand out? Because the 8th chakra contains your archetypal patterns, it is also the home of your sacred contract. In physical terms, the 8th chakra is located about an arm's length above the crown of the head. In addition to archetypes, the 8th chakra also holds patterns of experience and soul knowledge that are inherent in human consciousness. I'm skipping over, I'm not reading every line that's right behind each other. I'm just skipping over. We are also imprinted We are also born imprinted with universal laws such as cause and effect, choice and consequence, or magnetic attraction. The laws are represented as much in physics as in the spiritual laws of karma, and they are a part of the collective body of divine wisdom imprinted into the eighth chakra. We may have to be awakened to the presence of these truths within us, perhaps by a parent, mentor, or spiritual guide, but we are bound by them nonetheless, which is very interesting. Prior to reading that, it talks about how Thomas Aquinas and Augustine, to the contemporary spiritual writers such as Matthew Fox, maintain that there are natural laws of the spirit that operate within each of us, and that need not be taught to us directly. So with that being said, it was just saying that regardless, those laws are already within us, and that we do not, and through interactions with others, people in our lives, or even with ourselves, if we are open to receiving those lessons and those messages and being able to read deeper into that, then we're able to be able to recognize the truths within us. Yeah, it's very deep, very, very deep. And I have here universal love. Yep. I also went and did some research on the eighth chakra just because I was not familiar with it. And it says universal cosmic love. I got it from kgstyles.com. That's what it is. Universal cosmic love, which is universal heart. Oneness with the heart of the cosmos, divine love. And it's real deep. Stuff is just amazing. It's just about recognizing the oneness with all things, with all consciousness, that I am one with consciousness, that there is no separation at all. There's no separation at all. It's interesting because I'm reading a book about the Lord's Prayer. And some people may be familiar with it who are Christian. I grew up Christian. I don't practice it anymore. However, I do believe it's important to still remember those things because a lot of these religions have a common theme, which is the lessons of love at the end of the day. That's what it's about. And in the Lord's Prayer, it talks about what I didn't know. I did not know that the Lord's Prayer is really a guide on how to pray versus a prayer. Really, it's a guide on how to pray. And in it, it talks about our Father, and our represents our represents me being connected to all things. And I think of this. When I think of that, I think of universal cosmic love, universal heart. One is with the heart of the cosmos, divine love. And that first part of the Lord's Prayer talks about staying in the present moment. About recognizing illusions. And it's just real deep, man. I'm just telling you. I don't want to get too sidetracked, but I get it. I absolutely get it. Yep. So, when it comes to the eighth chakra, it's something that I'm still familiarizing myself with because I'm not really familiar with it. But it's definitely linked to the archetypes and the connection of your archetypes with your day-to-day life. Yep. 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 So we're going to go on and move to the next chapter. Not chapter, but next chakra, which is 7. The 7 is live in the present moment. That's still, it's interesting how the 8th chakra was talking about staying in the present moment, and this one is also talking about staying in the present moment. The power is inner divinity, and all of this that I'm reading is straight from the book. I made notes straight from the book, and what I'm reading is straight from the book. The strength is faith in the divine, as well as inner guidance, insight into healing, devotion. The shadow is the need to know why things happen as they do, which causes you to live in the past. It's so interesting. It's so imperative to stay in the moment. That's just a side, but it's so important to stay in the moment. And that's something that I actually struggle with. Worrying about the past, dealing, not worrying about the past, but focusing on the past and what was done or what could have been done or should have been done, and then the future being worrisome and thinking about, oh, this needs to be done or this hasn't been done and it needs, So it's just imperative. There's so much power in staying in the moment, and it's constantly changing. So yeah, the 7 chakras, the vision is linked to imagination. It's linked to your imagination. It's where it's like, it's, you ever been in a situation to where you're so inspired by something and you can see it, you can feel it, you can, even though it hasn't manifested on a physical level, you're like, whoa, I can see this happening. For example, perfect example, when my husband and I were dating, I decided to move up to be with him to Delaware. We're now back in Savannah, but I decided to move up with him to Delaware. And I'm big, especially during that time, I was big on writing down what I desired, what I wanted, and I wrote it down every single day, the same things, every single day. Listen to affirmations in my on my apps every single day. There's a lot of things that I manifested, but I always used to just not daydream, but like imagine myself already living with, like, moving there and being in that space and working a certain job, certain position, and also, living in a certain space. There was this place that I was very drawn to that I found on Craigslist. And I remember sending it to my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, and he went to check out the place. And we didn't move into that place when I moved up there. We ended up moving into that place about a year and a half later. We moved into that place. Mind you, I was writing down in my journal that I'm going to live at this exact address. Now, I was bummed when we first didn't do it, when we first didn't live there, but it wasn't my time. It wasn't our time to move there. But it just tripped me out, because when we finally was deciding to move into our own space, coincidentally, that house was listed as being available to move in. So it was crazy, because I remember my husband sent him a text. The person who's posted the house, my husband sent him a text message, and then they were like, whoa, because it was back maybe a year and a half prior to that, he had sent him that same person a text message, and it was just like, whoa. How crazy is that? But there's a lot of things that I have visions about. Like, me even being back in Savannah was a vision. Like the land, like I see us on land and all of that. It's just, that's the 7th chakra. Being able to see things before they have even manifest. Being able to see what may be the impossible. To me, that is the 7th chakra. The vision, the visionary. Think of the visionary part of you that it has aspirations and goals and intentions. You can see it, and you have that faith, as it mentioned, the faith in the divine, as well as in inner guidance, your intuition, insight into healing and devotion, and yeah, and just having faith. So it's an amazing thing. So I love the seventh chakra. I like this, and I'm gonna read it. It talks about using your imagination. Picture your archetypes descending into your seventh chakra, which is located just above the crown of your head. This is the area of the psychophysical body where divine energy, prana, chi, or the life force of the universe enters your physical energy system. This is the initial point at which each archetypal pattern becomes personalized into your life. The universal child archetype, for instance, takes on the characteristics of your own inner child. At the seventh chakra, the child may announce itself in the form of inspiration or imagination, the ability to see things afresh without preconceptions. Our seventh chakra, childlike inspirations, musings, or dreams cause us to make those dreams come true. And your lower chakras, the child patterns, can be identified within physical expressions from childlike glee to petulance. On the material plane, the seventh chakra will evaluate the spiritual implications of an event or relationship, advising you whether it serves your highest potential. The seventh chakra energy resonates with the imagination, with the greatest potential of human spirit in the physical body. So it's kind of like the merging of them together. But the eighth chakra is kind of like that too. So, yeah. But that was really awesome. And I have something starred here. So I'm going to read it because that meant that it was stood out to me. While your third chakra is your seat of self-esteem and gut intuition, your seventh energy center can inspire you to see beyond the limited range of the separate self and into transpersonal or cosmic vision. And remember what I mentioned, it's like 7 and 8 kind of correlate. It's like 7 is like the guide to your 8th chakra, which focuses on your archetypes. Einstein's discoveries of universal laws relied on the energy of his 7th chakra. Visionaries who foresaw great possibilities for humankind, such as Martin Luther King Jr., Gandhi, and Abraham Lincoln, also worked through the energy of this center. So it is like your spiritual aspiration development. Yep. And she writes here, the locale of our spiritual aspiration and development. This energy center power becomes available to us through meditation. Yes, and that's when I say that I see things. It's a lot of times it's through meditation that I'm seeing things, that I'm seeing things manifest. So it's a very powerful thing. And I feel like I've drawn this out. This thing is 33 minutes, and that's it for now. I feel like I was a little all over the place and stumbling, bumbling, mumbling. This is some deep stuff, and I know that I'm rereading this book multiple times to really get a gist of it. But if you made it this far, because this is a long video, thank you so much for watching. And you can definitely, if you want to follow me on Instagram, I have a lot of tasty pictures of food that my husband and I make, and different books that I may be reading, or just things that reflects who I am and reflects holistic health. So you can definitely go on there at Infinitenature1, or you can go on Tumblr at Infinitenature, also Twitter at Infinitenature1. And please subscribe if you haven't already to this YouTube channel at Infinitenature. And if you are curious about becoming a vegan or vegetarian or raw vegan, or even just wanting to just have healthier options and you want support and guidance, I definitely provide services such as meal plans, and also I provide coaching services. And you can go to loveinfinitenature.com to get more information on that. So thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Or wonderful night, because it's evening now. So see you later. Bye.